foremost, I wanted you to share some of your background with the people who are new to you here and tell them your story and who you are.
So this is where you get real. I'm a mother, a wife, all those things. So I was born and raised for a significant portion of my life in Germany. My parents were military. My mother's from Jamaica. My father's from Brooklyn/Harlem, depending on which half of the life you were talking about. And so we spent most of our time traveling. I cannot tell you how many schools I went to, how many places I lived. But one of the things that was always a constant was that my family was very, very, very intentional about making sure that we knew who we were as Black children. And then cultivating within us an appreciation for that, and a commitment to work in that space when we became adults. And so when I was 17 years old, I heard another attorney, Alton Maddox, another brother, some of you may be familiar with him, Alton Maddox, who was a civil rights lawyer at the time, and he was just fiery. I mean, he was saying all the things that you're not supposed to say in public. And then I was like, yes, I want to do that. What he's doing, I want to do that. And ever since then, had really been committed to using the law as best I could to empower Black people. And for me, when I say Black, I mean international. I'm like Pan-African. I am a Pan-Africanist. I guess that's the label you might put on it. But I believe that if Marcus Garvey was talking about you when he was waving the red, black, and green flag, when he was saying all of Africa for all of Africans, and that's who I'm talking about when I say Black. And so for me, that's really expansive. When I was in college, I majored in Africana Studies and Spanish language, and spent a year in the Dominican Republic writing about the role of researching and writing about the role of race in Latin American culture, because there was so many similarities. Like, you would see somebody walking down the street and you'd be like, oh, you would think that that person was a Keisha or a Tyrone, and then you find out their name is Maria or Aida, and it's like, you look just like we look alike, and you guys are eating the same things that we're eating. And because my mother was Caribbean, being able to recognize the similarities, both from the African context to the Caribbean context to the Spanish and English speaking Caribbean context, and then here with the American grounding, for me, it just seemed like we all were on the same ships. We just got off at different locations. And one of the things I always tell my students is that when you were leaving the continent of Africa and the bottom of that ship, your entire village, your entire family, your entire kin line might be on the bottom of that ship with you. And then half of you get dropped off in Brazil, a third of you dropped off in Puerto Rico, maybe a little bit more of you in Jamaica. And by the time there's like a handful of you left and you get dropped off in South Carolina, because your initial relatives who were dropped off in Brazil, they're not speaking Portuguese, and the other half of your village who's now speaking patois in Jamaica, and the other piece who's speaking Spanish in Cuba, and you who are speaking English, American English here, did you stop being family? Like, did you stop being connected? Did you stop having a religious system and a cultural system in common? No. All that happened is we got separated. And for me, that has sort of formed the basis of my scholarship and how I approach racial justice activism. And, because I had the privilege of being raised in a pro-Black family, I feel very empowered to be Black AF. I don't know if I can cuss on your airways. I probably should. My daughter and I have a competition. Every time I cuss, I have to do 5 push-ups. But I'm trying to be Black as fuck, right? Because at the end of the day, if we're not able to do that, and I feel like that is my obligation as a descendant of Harriet. That is my obligation as descendant of Nanny of the Maroons. Like, that is my obligation, is to be as boldly and proudly and openly Black as fuck in my scholarship, in my legal activism, in my social justice work, because that is the obligation and that's the call in our lives for such a time as this. So, and I'm also a mom, a wife, all those other things as well. But that at my core, that's who I am.